All right, good evening again. And once again, here we are with Let's Talk Music with RVA. And I'm Charles Mans, one of your hosts. And my co-host partner there is Mr. Dr. Bill McGee. And he's got a special guest for us tonight. We are talking percussions and drums.
We got somebody really, really special for Richmond here with us tonight. And it's kind of hard to encapsulate this brother because he has done so much, yet he is such an unsung hero in the music industry here in Richmond. So let me kind of give you the names that he's known by. His government name was Ernest Williams. All right. But the people from Church Hill,
brothers from Church Hill, Fairfield Court,
yep, they know him as Pee Wee. But he also takes the spiritual name of Zeb, or is it Zebediah? Or
it's Zebulon.
Zebulon. I'm sorry.
It's the ninth. Like in the 12 tribes, Zeb.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
September, and Zeb is the ninth one in line.
All right,
right.
Zebulon.
Yes.
So we call him Zeb for short. I've known the brother since he was at John F. Kennedy High School under a brother that Charles and I know very well named Johnny Payton.
Oh.
And this guy has such a history that we're gonna have fun talking to him this evening. So Zeb, welcome to Let's Talk Music Richmond. And Charles and I started this podcast program because we were losing so many of our brothers from the music world from Richmond. And if they have not been recording artists, there's not much left to remember them by.
Yes, sir.
And that kind of hurt both of us because we've been talking for years about doing this and making sure that for prosperity's sake, all these brothers are remembered.
Yes,
so
sir.
we're going to get you to call out some names as we go along of people who have influenced you and that are no longer with us because we want them to be remembered.
Yes.
But we normally first start this conversation out by asking our guests and our fellow musicians, our colleagues, to tell us how they got started in music. So that's the question we want to know. How did you really get started in music? Tell us about it.
First of all, I want to say greetings, give thanks. I'm honored to be here to Let's Talk Music. I'm honored. Dr. McGee, Bill, oh, God bless, man. I'm so honored. Okay, how did I get started? I think my mother took me to a parade when I was 10 years old. And I heard the thunder of those drums coming up the street on Broad Street. And that was it. And I said, I was about 10. I said, Mom, that's it. I want some drums. And boy, she got me a little drum. Oh, Doc, she got me a little drum that Christmas. But the second or third day, that head was gone.
Gone, broke.
That head was But the next year, I kept pressing the issue. And what do you know? My uncle worked at a little music store. And my mother went over to that music store and got me a 3-piece set. And when I woke up that Christmas when I was 11 years old and I had that drum set there, that was it. I stopped hanging out to play ball. I stopped everything. And it was just me. I probably looked at Lawrence Welch. They had that black drummer on there that was so good. He had me hypnotized.
Yeah.
What was that other show? The Midnight Special? It was, those are the things that had me just hypnotized on all the music. And then, I was young, coming up in the middle school, Bill and I were talking, I got a chance, I came through Mosby and, all the public school system, and it was just so good. I mean, I got a chance to meet so many of like Mr. Payton and the gentleman that used to teach over at Walker, Mr. Jasper, played the trumpet, and here we are in high school, and Gates and I, we're all together, and we were just hungry. We'd always go to the park and see Bill McGee. We saw them. I saw him in Trussell, and I saw that Poison band, and I saw So many of the good groups that were kicking around in Richmond during those times. That really, Plunky. Okay, here it goes. That's it. I think when Peyton was at high school and Peyton got sick and Plunky came in, and Plunky really got my attention because when he brung his album to school, he was the first man I ever met that had his own album.
Oh wow!
And
what an influence!
When I saw him, he looked different from the other teachers. He had on dashiki.
Yeah.
He reminded me of Dr. here. He had on dashiki and he had sandals. No other teacher looked like Plunky.
Who was your first music teacher?
My first music teacher was his name was Parker, man.
Parker, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was a flute man. I knew his instrument was flute. And I was 6th grade at Mosby.
Zeb, when did you finish high school?
I came out in 77.
When did you start with Awareness Art Ensemble? When did you work with them?
81.
It's like from 73 to 78. He was in that formative years of learning how to play, listening to bands, wanting to grow up and be like and get into. They were starting their own bands in school.
That's how I remember Gates.
Right. And Gates and I had one called Ultimate Blackness. We were in high school together. We were 16. And Johnny Payton used to allow us to rehearse right at the high school.
Okay, good.
God bless him. There's one thing that I can remember him saying now. Son, the paper, look, the paper tells you what, I tell you when. Oh man, he could shock you.
I like that.
And son, if you can't come in on the one, don't come in. And boy, for a drummer, man, that's heartbreaking,
He said, if you can't hit on one, don't come in.
Oh man, Mr. Payton has some words, man, that'll wake you up back there.
He said, the music tells you what, but I tell you when.
When, man.
I missed that one. I needed that
quote. I like that quote.
I needed that one.
He was in control. We realized he was in control.
What was the first band that you played in when you actually did some gigs?
It was Gates and I. We got together, from watching Plunky, and we said, okay, we're going to call ourselves Ultimate Blackness.
Who else was in the group?
It was me, Gates, a couple of guys that were in the band with us. A guy named Ralph Hubbard. His name, we used to call him Chuck. He played bass. And Roland White played piano, and maybe Morris White was his big brother.
Okay.
He went to Kennedy. He was also a music guy. He played the other tuba with Dennis in band class, Morris White.
Okay.
And they lived on Peter Paul.
All right.
Right.
And we, and Gates and I watching Plunky, and look, when I remember our biggest gigs were maybe the Devil's Club when they got finished the baseball game.
What did you do after that?
Okay, after that, I started working on Hall Street, a music store where my uncle worked. I was right on Southern Loan and Metro Music. Okay. And it looks like I've taken some music courses over at VCU. I started doing like a piano theory, and I started doing some advanced drumming. And because I really wanted to get totally into school, but looks like I was just so torn between the stage and totally committing it, but I really, I don't like to go hindsight because I look at you, Doc, and I look at what you and Gates and, I go like, whoa, because you all went to school routes, and I tell my sons, to do what I did, it's not a guarantee.
Name some of the drummers that influenced you.
Jerome Bigfoot Braley, Elwood Henderson.
Right.
Elwood lived right around the corner from me, and I used to see him with his drums in the backyard on Peter Paul Boulevard. And I ride my bike from Fairfield Court, and I used to see him really work out good. And then next thing I know, Jimmy Casper Bunch was at the Coliseum with Mandrill and Parliament, and I see Elwood up there, and I'm trying to figure how did Elwood get from the backyard to the Coliseum. Right. And I said, whatever they're doing, I got to get some of that.
Get some of that. That's what I want.
And that's it, man. And I would go around Elwood's so much. I would go like, boy, I hope Elwood's wife don't get upset with me. Because Elwood was such a recorder. He could take cassettes and link them up and do tracks before the tracks and stuff come out.
Yeah.
This guy was like a marvel.
Yeah.
And I was hypnotized on him because he was such a musical drummer. You know, I want to play. I'm watching you all, and looks like I got into a group called Brimstone. Freddie Gray was in that band, but Freddie Gray stopped playing, and looks like I started playing. So Brimstone, that was like a little hot little R&B little band. Then I went from Brimstone.
Who else was in that band?
Randy Witherspoon, Alton Ginyard, a guy named Vernon that played bass.
Okay.
Lamont Minifield played guitar.
Yeah, I know Lamont.
I know the name Lamont, yeah.
Man, he could play some Ross guitar, man, Lamont. I've been around the world. I don't see some brothers can't play like Lamont, man. You know, because he had a way of playing rhythm and lead together. He was just incredible player, great player to this day.
Wow.
So now this group Brimstone, y'all, this is gigs in the Richmond area during
In
that
the
time?
Richmond area, East Coast Entertainment, you know.
Okay,
that's
gotcha.
team.
Were you at this time? Were you playing reggae or were you?
No, this is R&B.
Just R&B. Okay. So after Brimstone.
Okay, now after Brimstone, looks like Elwood wants to get a little crew together, and you know, and Elwood, you know, he's one of my mentors, and I was like, and we did a little Dogwood Dell show. I forget what Elwood was calling it, but he had stepped out on guitar, and he had me on the drums, and look, I realized Elwood was the first drummer that I kind of played for. The second drummer I played for was when I got into Tyrone Thomas and the Whole Darn Family. I go like, oh boy, it's not so easy. When the drummer,
Oh, not with Tommy. Oh, no.
What?
Not with Tommy.
what?
Yeah.
But he showed me how to groove, my brothers.
Yeah,
He showed me. I mean, because, you know, maybe, you know, how to settle down.
that's a
Really good.
master sergeant. But yeah, he can go to work.
Oh, man, I love him. He showed me, look, and I got a chance to play that 7 minutes of funk with him together, you know? And boy, that was some groove. For me, that was just like a highlight. So I
Right.
went from that. I'm working at the music store. And Ross Mel comes in one day and says, man, well, we got the reggae band, and look like we're going to need some drums. And I says, okay. And Mel puts me in his car, and he puts on some rhythm, and he's stomping his feet. And boy, that drum and beat is in an odd place, and I'm trying to figure this thing out.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, this is it. I go like, oh boy, this ain't no jazz. This ain't no funk.
This is a whole different animal.
This is a whole nother thing. So, but he said,
Yeah.
okay, you got it, man. So I said, all right. So I let him take me to the gig. He jumped me into his Nova. I never forget it, man. And we go to the gig, and the place was cocked of Europeans. Like, we were the only black guys in there. And God bless it. I mean, God bless it because it's international music. But it was shocking to me.
Right.
Because I just come off the, you know, playing with all the R&B things. And now I'm downtown in the fan, and the audience has flipped on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I says, all right. And now we start play that rhythm. And, you know, Ross is there, and Chuck X, and Ojulaba. And
Chuck X. Rest in
Man.
peace, Chuck. Rest in paradise.
yes, my brethren.
That's my brother.
And we went in, and I found myself. I found where I could fit in. I said, Jerome is doing that funk. Elwood's doing that funk and R&B. I can do this.
Right.
And I started listening to the Caribbean rhythms and the African rhythms.
Right.
And I'm gonna tell you, my brethren, with awareness, I got a chance to see a great drummer that came through town doing a workshop. His name was Babatunde Olatunji.
Olatunji, that's right.
Okay. When Baba told me, Drummie, allow the ancestors in Virginia to play through you because their drums were taken away. When this great man shared that with me, I said, wow, you know, I never think of that. I'm about 20 in my early 20s.
Right.
And he just put something in my head for me to bring to the stage.
Right.
He says, bring them ancestors with you. Let them play through you.
Wow.
When that journey man shared that with me,
Right.
it looked like everywhere I would go now, some kind of ritual. I'm calling out my granddaddy. I'm calling out my daddy. I'm calling out the Virginia ancestors.
Sure.
And I go on into this from what Baba shared with me until it goes on through awareness, and awareness just seemed to it just get mega. It get mega. And I saw something really mystic that happened to me culturally. Like I had some beads that were given to me from the Yoruba culture. And then I was told that these beads will never break unless a higher power come amongst me. My brethren, I'm in the New Horizon Cafe and awareness is playing. And there's about 400 in there. We gone. And now it's time for my drum solo. And I'm ready to go at it. Next thing you know, I look over there and I see a man coming in the door in all white and look like some queens beside him. And it's Babatunde Olatunji. And I said, oh Lord, I gotta go in it now, man. Because the mind has come in, you know what I mean? I gotta go in. And when I went in, I started going in, my brethren. And the next thing you know, my beads, bow. It was showered.
Wow.
And they were starting to play music on my drums. And I said, oh, it happened. And there he is looking at me right there. And that energy came in and it just cracked it. And from there, it seemed like I started taking the ancestors with me. Next thing you know, we opened a show with Bob Marley's band and Family Man, see Chuck X and I. And maybe we're on stage and he goes to sit on the organ and Chuck X and I stop. But Family Man says, no, play. And so, boy, Chuck X and I playing. And Fam started playing the organ. You know, Bob Marley's Mighty Bassman. And boy, if I hadn't played another note, that was one of the happiest days of my life. I'm playing with Awareness Art Ensemble. We're opening a show for Bob Marley's Wailers. Norfolk, Virginia. And the place is called the Boathouse. And man, it's about 1,000 deep in there. And it looks like for the first time in my life, we get to see, you know, Bob's band. And it looks like they need to rent a few of our things. And so we were honored. And so their engineer wanted us to check the stuff. And so their engineer was mixing. And I was like, oh, Lord, I never heard my drum sound like that before. Good gracious, this guy's, what is he doing back there? And it was sounding great. And the next thing you know, we're all up there together. And then, you know, boom, you know, we got to go to work. So Awareness did our thing and we got out of the way. But that's when I met them. So now it's early 80s. Family Man sees me. Now, 2 or 3 years later, we open another show. We meet again. Hey, Drummie. Yeah, man. I finished with Awareness Art. I've done 13 years.
Wow.
Right, you know, but through that 13 years, we've met Third World, Wailers, Gregory Isaacs, Ecomouse. Those are other artists I played for. We would open the show because the promoter would know that we would bring 1,000 people easy.
Right.
And so we're going to be on that ticket. Then I started to create this newer sound. It's this Razor Posse, more of a dancehall kind of, more dance, uptown reggae. We're opening for an artist named King Yellowman, albino from Jamaica.
Right.
A real special man. You know, looks like he was an orphan, an albino, but come up in Jamaica, did so well, even put money to help start a hospital. The guy is really a great man. Here we go. He sees me at the Flood Zone and he looks at me. He says, Drummie, you play them drums like you love it. And I said, well, Yellow, boy, we don't have a management, we don't have a record. He says, so he calls me to his dressing room and he says to me, Drummie, I want you to come to Jamaica. We're going to help you make a record. And guess what he said? No money.
Wow.
This is my brethren. He'll see me. He said, man, well, you play like you love it. This is what King Yellow said to me. So I got the money together. We played some fraternities. I got all the money together, my big brothers. And I bought us some plane tickets. And we all flew to Jamaica.
How many guys is that?
Maybe about 4 guys.
After the Razor Posse,
Yes.
after you put the record out and things started picking up, then the Wailers called you to come play with them?
We started opening so many shows.
Okay.
I would take the Razor as much as I would. We had our own identity with our own songs.
Right.
But I would back up Frankie Paul. I would back up Ecomouse. I would back up, the Jamaicans started to go like, hey, Drummie knows the name of the rhythms. And, you know, their rhythms all have names, you know,
Right.
Bull Cow, Pepper Seed, this one, that one. And I would take time to learn the rhythm style. And so, because when a guy like Louis Rankin calls me, he just, they just want to haul out the rhythm to me. And I have to make sure my guys know their rhythm. It was so easy.
Right.
It's like, okay.
What is it that stands out to you as defining moments of your journey in music? Is there any one in particular?
I must say, I'm on tour and we're out there with a group called 311. And we're in Cincinnati. And the bass player of this band, I guess Bootsy loved this kid, right? So he calls, he tells me the day before, Drummie, I'm gonna knock on your bus in the morning at 8 o'clock. We're going over to Bootsy's. I'm going like, okay, man, I'm into this. He knocks on the bus. I get out. He and I go to Bootsy's house. It's about 9 in the morning. And here come Bootsy, come to the door. And it looks like he has a nice studio, just like Mr. McGee here, Doc here. And he calls over his engineer. And I started playing funk in Bootsy's place.
Wow.
Wow.
And because Bootsy loves this bass man. And so we're in there. And Bootsy's the kind of producer, while that rhythm's going, he's talking in the headphones. He's telling you where to go with it. And it was amazing. So that day, Bootsy just was totally, he just gave me some good props that day, playing with Family Man that night. And the next thing I know, when I blinked, it was 15 years with Family Man.
Wow.
15 and a half years.
With the Wailers.
With the Wailers.
As you say Family Man, but everybody doesn't know the Family Man.
Family Man's the bass player of Bob Marley's band.
And the leader of Bob Marley's band, right? The Wailers.
And he saw me with awareness, and he just thought that I played with a bit of color and some energy. And I loved playing with him. He was such a band leader that I never heard him raise his voice. I got one more that I'm so proud of. When I'm with Bob Marley's Wailers, my boss looks at me and said, "Well, Drummie, looks like this country guy wants us to record and make a record with him, and he wants us to meet over in Jamaica." And I says, "Okay, all right." I've been told to record with this guy, and the artist was Kenny Chesney. Because I've been in reggae world, I don't know the scene, so it looks like we're over there, and we get this meeting, we get the book. They're sharing with me what we're going to be doing, the production. Remind me, my brethren, it's just thick. And all I see is Sony music and this and that. Oh, boy. After we do this, we'll make the record and we'll make the video. And now we're sitting around just kind of just talking. And Kenny's like, "Hey, Drummie, what's your number?" I said, "Kenny, what's your number, man? Look, I have no idea that the guy makes $70 million a year."
Right.
We did the record maybe in the summertime, but by November of that year, it was number one.
Number one country record.
Yeah, I couldn't believe
What's
it.
the name of it?
Everybody want to go to heaven, and nobody wants to go now.
Church here, Fairfield Court boy, with 2 sticks in his hand, has been around the world and worked for millions, in front of millions of people in the audience over the years.
Here's me singing with Kenny on stage. It'll pull me off my drum set.
Oh, man. Name one of the far places that you traveled to.
Dubai.
Dubai, okay.
Dubai so new it ain't even in the history books yet.
Right.
I mean, I couldn't believe it. It's really mystic, and but Africa was the most mystic though. Man.
Where did you travel in Africa?
I've rocked Johannesburg, Cape Town, Durban. I've been to Zimbabwe, Zambia. I've been to Morocco. I've been to Mauritius and Madagascar.
Your love of music and people like Johnny Payton and your ability to sit behind those little drums that your mother bought for you has taken you all over the world. Isn't that amazing?
It is. I give thanks to God. I tell people because I grew up in the Fairfield Court, and I tell them I used to look out the backyard, and I would imagine France and Europe and, see it, but me just in it, Minutes in it, man. And I got a chance to record with Paul Simon. The first one before Paul Simon, I was a part of a record, all Bob Dylan songs in reggae. I produced a song he did called Serve Somebody, and I flipped it into a reggae version. I called Bob Dylan bass player. I met him in Martha's Vineyard, and I told him what I was doing. And I realized then that the record company, they don't know these guys. It's me that knew Dylan's bass player. When the record company's guy says to me, you can call Bob Dylan bass player? And when I did, and I said, Tony, looks like we're doing a Dylan album. And would you make this recording? And looks like we got him a plane ticket, flew him from New York, flew him into DC. And when Tony came to do the record, took the record so Bob Dylan could hear it, and Bob Dylan said he won't be a part of it. Now the man is jumping on the table. He should have gave me some money for that.
That hookup.
Bob Dylan came on that record. That record's called "Is It Rollin', Bob?" Right now but it was such an honor to do the record.
So the Wailers, Kenny Chesney, Bob Dylan, Paul Simon.
And Paul Simon was a dream, flying me from Churchill to New York. Guess how easy it was playing with Paul, and being Paul's so personal. He's a guitar man. So he said, well, Drummie, I have a roots song. I don't want it so authentic, just somewhere in the middle. And so he's playing his guitar. And my brethren, I'm tapping on his shoulder, easy, playing with Paul. Yeah. And here's the bridge, Drummie, right here. He is stepping it down with me right there, tapping on him in the control room. Because I'm doing his sound, his music, and he's playing. And he's, we're together. And it was so honorable. God bless Johnny Payton, man.
Were you reading charts during this time?
Peyton taught me how to read. I could go through and.
But you must have conveyed a certain confidence that the people that you work with felt in what you were doing. Adaptable flair for all genres of music that we talked. You started this conversation with Lawrence Welk. Now, see right there, if you draw this line, it has taken a journey from that style, from the style of polka. You have gone into reggae, R&B, jazz, pop, hip hop,
and country.
That is within the respect that all these genres have for you and your adaptability to all these genres. No, my brother, that is not easy.
And God bless you all. I think
you're undoubtedly a professional in your field, my brother. Richmond owes you a great deal of respect.
Absolutely.
What you have accomplished with the music.
What's next right now? Of course, when the COVID hit 2 years ago, I was in Nashville because I'm the kind of guy when they see me in Nashville, being I did all those videos and tours with Kenny, they go like, damn, that's Drummie with Kenny. Like they may not recognize me here. In the fan, they gonna know Drummie's there. But in Nashville, certain man gonna go like, that's that Dreddy that's with Kenny. And so now I'm pulling up the band again. It's called Rasta Country. So many moments, like you said, what's a great moment? What's a great moment? But here's one day I'm in Boston. And I have a friend named Kenneth Kennard that played with Jocko. He's the drummer. He teaches the class in Berkeley. And so they take me to dinner. And she says, okay, I'm going to take you over to the school. But they don't tell me, Doc McGee, that as soon as I walk in, the camera's rolling. And now I got to play that night at 10 o'clock. But now I'm in some master class. And there goes Kenny with a drum set and some students with on a whole bunch of drum kits. And so hear me now up front. And everything I'm playing, boy, Kennard is throwing it back at me. When I say everything, but when I start playing the reggae, it separated me.
Yeah.
Look at Boston. Look at Berkeley. You can take a class there to teach you how to play Bob Marley. They wanted me there to say, what do you play when you play Steer It Up? 8th note hi-hats and this, that.
Right.
And I was a little nervous at first. And I called Plunky when I was about to do this thing. I said, Plunky, well, I don't know what I'm going to play. And Plunky's like, no, Drummie, they just want to hear what you play with Family Man. Play when you play those reggae songs. That's what they want to know.
Mm-hmm.
And so Plunky really got me dialed in on how I could deal with it, you know. I wouldn't be here from watching brethren like yourself. And I give thanks, we're all inspired. But I'm glad that God had you all in front of me.
Well, we're all glad that God put Johnny Payton in our lives.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Pee-wee,
Yes.
Zeb, Ernest Williams,
Yes.
Zebulon, thank you for gracing us with your
And Let's Talk Music. Give thanks for inviting me. And God bless
Yeah.
to the Richmond area. And may we keep this out there happening to bring all the other young up-and-coming artists to give them something to reach for. So I'm honored.
God bless.
Yeah, man. Bye-bye.
Pleasure having you, brother.
Let me